The knife edge. Team USA in the hands of Tony Manna can win the Weber Cup right here. They won it last year, 18-11 in Warsaw. If Manna beats Leandersson, it will be 18-11 here in Essex. And he leaves the 7. We're so used to seeing these Americans start with strikes, that's almost a shock.
Well, he deserved a strike. This really is a tall order for Thomas. For me, Tony Manor has been the pick of the Americans for the whole of this tournament.
Tim Mack made the point that there hasn't been a weak link. Manna's been the most consistent. Mack has gone on an odd tear up. Castillo has come through very strongly, and the other guys have held their nerve as well, haven't they? There's nobody's let anybody down for these Europeans, for the Americans. Whereas the Europeans, they've all had some problems. As Manna spares comfortably. We see Manna knock out the single pin there, and just to reiterate a point I know that you've made before, it's worth making again. The difference between the Americans and the Europeans is they make those single pin spares. All the Europeans have made a mess of that shot.
Yes, with the possible exception of Gary. I think Gary's been pretty consistent at his sparing out there. He might have missed one single pin, but the rest of the team...
Right. For Leandersson, he almost left the 10.
Sorry, Nick, yes, the rest of Team Europe have been very inconsistent on their sparing. Good start for Thomas. Excellent delivery. He got the carry, Tony didn't. Can Tony do anything about it?
Tony Manna, nicknamed the Fridge after the American footballer William Perry, the old Chicago Bear and London Monarch. Nowhere near as big as Perry, but... no mean bowler, and that was inevitable. Good response from Manna.
There you see Tony hitting the head pin light, but plenty of action on the pins, securing the strike for him.
So Leandersson looking for a double to maintain that slender advantage. It's looking good in the pocket. Bang on. In there like swimwear for Thomas Leandersson.
Well, if Europe are going to get back into this, there's going to be a captain's innings that starts it.
Frame 3 for the American. Oh, how often have we seen this? The Americans meet a challenge so well.
Well done, Tony. This is 3 really good shots to open. Very unlucky he hasn't got a turkey to start with. Just letting Thomas know that he's around and playing well still. Just adds to the mental pressure.
Well, you mentioned Turkey there. That's 3 strikes in a row. That is what Thomas Leandersson will be looking to achieve here. Those gold-tipped shoes of his. Great start. Can he keep it going? No.
This really has been the story for Europe. They can get 1 or 2 strikes and then look good doing it, but the very next frame, all of a sudden they get a rogue reaction or make a bad shot and goes through the head pin or slides by. And
what was that, a bad shot from Thomas, or just the lane playing a trick on him?
Lane really shouldn't be playing tricks on him at this point. It may just have been a bad shot.
Safely spared. But that means that Manna with a strike here can move ahead. Oh dear. Leandersson, a frown on that furrowed brow. A film of perspiration on the brow of Tony Manor, but I tell you what, it's Europe that's sweating right now. Because if Manor gets this, the Americans are in front. This is looking very ominous.
Yes, Tony Manor is just living in the pocket, as he has done all tournament. Lots of revolution. Absolutely flush in the pocket. The 8-pin a bit late, but it deserved to go. So Thomas right up against it now.
Needs to get back into the pocket. Oh, he got back in, but didn't get the break. I'll tell you, with Manor clocking up strikes, these spares are not going to do Leandersson any good at all.
Well, with what's happened on this shot, Nick, I think the last shot probably wasn't a bad shot. It probably was a rogue reaction out of the lane. Or at least Thomas believed it was, because it looks like he's made an adjustment and overcompensated.
Safely sparing again, but the way this match is going, Leandersson needs Manor, excuse me, to let him back in.
Well, I think one of the biggest shocks of the tournament would be if Tony missed the pocket here.
This for a four-bagger for the big man. Oh, scary stuff. Superb bowling from Tony Manor, who would love to be the man that wins the Weber Cup for his country. Close to the foul line there, but...
Yes, but look how solid that foot was going onto the foul line there. It was just... it just didn't twitch at all.
Just perfect, wasn't it?
Just shows you how balanced he was.
He's up against it now. Leandersson. 2 strikes, followed by 2 spares. That inconsistency that Richard alluded to, continuing to haunt these Europeans. Back again. Not out of it just yet, not by a long way.
Okay, Thomas looks like he's found it again, but he's going to need to make a very big string from this start.
4 strikes in a row for Tony Manor, and frankly the opening frame could have been a strike with a bit of luck as well. He is on fire.
Already over 20 pins in the lead. Can increase it with a strike here.
What's the phrase you bowlers use? Living in the pocket. He is absolutely camped there at the moment. Oh, and he's out. The streak ends. A glimmer of hope for Leandersson.
Well, this wasn't a bad shot from Tony. He's hit the headpin a bit light. Headpin didn't go in front of the 2, but only just hit it and didn't come off the wall and take the 7 out. Should be no problem with this spare. Very straightforward. Well,
just shut up, Richard, will you, okay?
I'm stunned. Of all the people in the tournament,
he hasn't done it before. I'm sure he hasn't done it before. Because, I mean, you know, we make a joke about it. I'm as stunned as you. I mean, that was as automatic as they come.
Well, it's an opportunity for Europe now. Thomas was 20 odd down, but he's got a strike working so he can get them all back with a double here. Manor
just sitting on his chair, mopping his brow. Barely believe it. And Leandersson is off the hook. Oh, look at that. Look at that. A different game now.
Well done, Thomas. Right back in it. Score's pretty much level, but Thomas has got a double working, so if he doesn't strike, he's going to fall behind by whatever he leaves standing on his next shot. But if he were to strike, that steals a 10-pin lead. So,
and what's Tony Manor thinking? Tim Mack was telling us going into this match they've only basically missed 4 times throughout the whole competition. But miss number 5 could be very expensive, and Manor needs a very quick regroup here. It looks so easy, doesn't it?
well, it certainly seems that way for Tony at the moment. He knows really that missing that single pin has, brought Thomas right back into it.
And Manor, that look as if to say, well, why didn't I do that last time? But he had this match in the bag. Leandersson, if he can strike out from here, which is a big if, cannot be caught, so Manor is going to have to do the chasing now. That's how expensive that open frame is. Leandersson on a double. He's still got a lot of work to do, but at least he's in it. He was slipping behind. He was 22 pins adrift 3 frames ago. This to maintain his lead. Yes!
Well, that actually extends his lead. He's got a 10-pin advantage now. Well done, Thomas. This is a very gritty performance. Especially when you had that little episode in the middle there where things weren't going well for him after his initial double. He's fought back very strongly.
Yes, with 3 in a row. Don't write this fella off just yet. You and I are not doing too well at our predicting at the moment, Richard, but my money's on a strike here.
Well, that's probably one of the safest bets you could have made in the tournament, actually, but this guy's playing well. How did he miss that single pin?
Well, it's a bit comforting to the rest of us that even the good ones, like Tony Manor, will make that mistake. I guess that's one of the great things about this game. Nothing is ever automatic and guaranteed and taken for granted, is it?
No.
Especially in this kind of gladiatorial shootout, you got one game, 10 frames, that's it. It's not like you're playing the best of 25 or something where a good player will always beat the inferior opponent. Anything can happen over 10 frames. Leandersson on fire, a 4-bagger.
Excellent bowling from Leandersson here. Tony got the scores back level with his double, so it was very important for Thomas to make that strike. Restores his 10-pin advantage.
And just looking at that scoreboard, doesn't that Manor open frame loom large? What a difference it's made. But he bounced right back with a double.
How often it seems that the last hurdle is the hardest one to get over.
Like in snooker, isn't it? The last frame is always the toughest. Manor looking to try and keep the heat on. Good ball from Tony Manor. Turkey from him. He's keeping the pressure on. Both these fellas seem to have raised their game. Manor back in the pocket. It's just letting Leandersson know he can't afford another lapse. There is just no margin of error at all for this cool, calm, collected Swede. He's been in these pressure situations, Richard. Always seems to respond well, doesn't he?
Yes, you learn how to cope with it by getting there. He's been there often enough.
This to stay in front. There it is. 5 out of 5. Bowling of the highest class in a real pressure environment.
Look at Thomas. He knows it's there. Will it carry? Yes, it does. Thomas showing some real intensity out there now.
1 frame left for Tony Manor.
Well, this really is a captain's innings, but is it going to be good enough? We still don't know.
If Manor strikes out from here, it will leave Leandersson with an awful lot of work to do. Basically, he's got to match what Manor does. Oh, that's big. That is big. What a time to get that on the 7.
Tony just coming up a bit too light in the pocket, relying on mix. There you see 7-pin rocking, but wasn't hit hard enough.
Well,
I'm not going to say it's a formality.
I was going to say, this is the one
Oh,
he missed
my word.
before and he's done it again. Oh, it's a collapse at the end for Tony Manor. That's a shame. But it's made Thomas Leandersson's job so much easier. (2-2-4), but Tony Manor will never want to see that game on TV.
No, well, the players get tapes of their matches. I don't think he'll want to watch
He'll
that
burn
one when
this
he gets it, yeah.
He'll burn it. Twice on the 7-pin, so Leandersson with a strike here. Wraps it up. The Europeans are alive. One down, 6 to go for Team Europe. Leandersson's done his bit.
Well, the happiest man in the European team probably isn't Thomas now. It's probably Nico Pont, because he's going to get another game.
So Tim Mack was getting his acceptance speech ready. Leandersson continues this tear up. Well, it's not over till the fat lady sings. She was clearing her throat, Richard, but she's been sent back to the dressing room.
In no uncertain terms.
The strike here is a 2-6-7. Tremendous bowling from the captain, leading by example and from the front. He had to do it the hard way. He was adrift at the halfway point. Then he finished so strongly, striking all the way. The European flag continues to flutter. Thomas Leandersson has beaten Tony Manor 267, 224. It's 17-12.